That's because this DJI Mini, let me start that over. Is this a fucking Mini? I can't even remember the name of my own drone. You may have noticed that this particular drone footage does not look good, and that's because for whatever reason this Mavic Mini has some kind of an SD card specificity that I don't fully understand. I know I have a fast enough SD card in there, but sometimes it just says the SD card's not available, like it did today, and I don't have another one. So I'm actually streaming this to my phone. The footage you're seeing currently is my phone simply recording what comes in through the transmission, what I would normally just look at to monitor where the drone is. The footage is normally actually recorded in full quality on the drone on the SD card, but instead my phone is capturing the transferred footage. The reason why this looks so bad is because obviously it's low quality, but it's probably a good example of the difference between scaled 1080p and actually high quality footage. Sometimes I'll see these drones advertised online as being 4K, but you'll notice that when the footage is actually imported to some sort of software, it doesn't look very good. It's very fuzzy and weird. And that's because of difference in bit rate. Just because something is 4K, 4K only means that it is a certain pixel aspect ratio, meaning it's a certain size when it's scaled, but the information the camera is actually collecting doesn't necessarily have to be 4K or high quality, like it is right here. You'll notice when I go up close to these trees, it gets very fuzzy and worry. And you might notice that on very early digital cell phone cameras, that if you were to film in the snow or the rain or confetti or tree leaves, suddenly the video quality is much, much worse. And that's because bitrate is essentially the process of choosing how much information is in a certain area of the pixels. So if you are capturing low amounts of that information and there's lots of leaves moving or individual snowflakes falling, it has to calculate that individual information. There's a lot changing on the screen versus when I do something big and grand, it looks a lot better because to our human eye, or actually to the camera, to the pixels, those colors and those details are not moving really. So the computer can make sort of cheats and hacks in a way where it can cluster stuff and just load that and not have to worry about changing it in the middle. So if you have a lot of movement, individual movement throughout your screen, it's a lot more difficult for the processor or the actual sensor of the camera to capture accurately if it's not very high quality or doesn't have a lot of processing power. So that's why here you'll see, but this is not really a matter of the camera, it's more of a matter of transmission, because it has to transmit all this information live through a very faulty, is that the word? It's just, they have to cram a lot into a very specific frequency, so they're not gonna bother doing super high quality. So the thing that they'll crush down is not necessarily the aspect ratio or the pixel density, but they will crush out the bit rate processing. So this is why sometimes you can have a 1080p video that you export, and you can have a 1080p that's 500 megabytes, and you can have one that's 70 megabytes, and usually the difference there is bit rate. So little digital film lesson for you.